Hello and welcome to Phoenix Crypto. My name's Andy and welcome to another edition of Market Watch. So if you like the content, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll be very grateful for your support. So I'm going to look at a couple of different things today. You will see here the bull market support band, quite an important indicator of how the overall trend of the market is going. This is on the weekly time frame, and you can see if I go back here, we get this crossover. And when we get this crossover, price typically dips below the bull market support band, and we can be considered bearish. And at the point at which it gets back above, we can then consider ourselves bullish. Okay, and you can see quite often what happens is, I think here we're testing the 20-week SMA, testing, dip down. Test the bull market support band. It's quite difficult on price there to see if it crosses, but I don't think it. Well, it does briefly, but it's so brief, and actually we cross back over. But you can see we go. I mean, this was parabolic. I mean, what's that? 5 weeks of just continued. Followed by another few, bit of a small correction, another few. What a fantastic run. And that brings us to present day. So for those of you who remember, got here April 19th highlighted, and we can see a crossover. Yes, we had a pump up here, and I think we hit some good prices, and then we dipped massively, so for those of you who are trading in and around May would remember this. It was quite a red month, as you can see, and that's actually quite a big 40% correction. That's pretty big. We ranged for a few months, and then obviously middle of the summer we got back above. We had the crossover where we could feel we're bullish. We test here the 20-week SMA, test here the 20-week SMA, and obviously the wick is going down to test the bull market support band. This drops down below, but tests the bull market support band and comes back up again. Wick down, and then we're off. We have 3 good weeks, a little bit of an in-between week. 3 good weeks, obviously not quite as good as these 3. However, we're now on to 3 red weeks that have just closed, and obviously we've only just started this this week, this candle. It is not even 12 hours old and it's already looking quite red. But where I want to draw your attention to is just here. We have a crossover. What does that mean? Can we cross over and then just like over here or over here come back up quite quickly? Absolutely we can. Absolutely we can. Going to look at Wolfpack Pro on the weekly here. What does this look like? Divergence. Price. It's not really a divergence at all. Price is going down. Okay. If I go to the 2-week though, well, it looks a bit different. Price has gone up in that time. And we know how divergences play out. On Wolfpack Pro, you can see the Bollinger Band going red, signifying bearish trend. VMC Morpheus, very clear, right? Trigger wave for a move down, very clear. VWAP, well below And although that angle has changed slightly, we have no way of being able to know yet whether we're going to just, you know, paint an upward trend, whether this plateaus, whether this dips further. Not looking particularly healthy. Then I want to go to the logarithmic growth curve, right? So what I've marked here, if I just get rid of this for a second, this is a MACD indicator, okay, completely free. And you can see these crossovers, okay, and they obviously signify a bearish trend, okay. Now obviously the actual bearish trend starts with these light green, signifying that actually the bullish trend is discontinued, and then it goes into these darker red, okay. So we've got one here back in, this was March of 2014, right. Then we've got another one here, and then we've got another one here. And what I've done, and we've got another one here, and then we've just got one here now. Very interesting. So what I've done, if I go back to the logarithmic growth curve, is every time we've had one of these on here, I have measured from the top of the candle to the bottom, and I've tried to do it candle to candle. It's not exact, but you get the idea. So the first time we had a 67% drop, quite steep. I mean, obviously if you'd have gotten in here it would have been even better, but you know, how do you know? How do you know? Okay. We had another one here in 2018, another 67% drop. And on quite quickly after, this is end of 2019, only a 45% drop. And then this is May. This is the April to May time that I just showed you, and that is a 46% drop. And so I've measured from this candle approximately a 45% drop, because that's what we're looking like. It doesn't look like it would be a 67% drop. And that gives us an idea of what price might be. Okay, $27,000. And you can see now that there are a number of things that are pointing towards downward movement. We have the MACD. We have a divergence. We have a red dot which just confirmed on the 2 weekly, and Wolfpack Pro looking very similar, you know, and their monster wave pointing straight down, you know, indicating we're going to get this kind of movement. Okay, how big, you know, is anyone's guess, but at this point the money flow, this green here, you can see pretty much coming to the zero line here as well. So we're now starting to see a lot of really bearish signs, really bearish signs. So for anyone who hasn't been living underneath a rock, you will know on Friday we had huge drop, and I woke up Saturday morning, price was around, probably around over here actually, 46, 47,000. Unfortunately I'd closed my Bitcoin short a bit earlier because I was looking to grab a bounce, but I was still in my Ethereum long, which topped out, well, I recorded it at 1900%, but it dipped far lower than that, and I was able to close it in some very nice profit, and we did a nice scalp over here on Saturday. However, we've obviously got this massive downward move, and we're all sitting here thinking, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to bounce back up again? We look at RSI levels and we can see that it's heavily oversold. We can look at this Keltner band and look, we are so far outside the band. And what has happened? The band has moved towards price. So yes, we've gone back up, but the band has moved down, okay, and has now engulfed the price action. So we're now back squarely underneath, and look, the moving average here, that has now dropped, in line with the bands, okay. So typically what would happen is we move back up quite rapidly. You can say that we did do that here, but obviously the band has also moved towards us, and now we're just ranging within it, and we've just had in the last hour or two, we've had a quick drop. So, it has to be said that things are looking pretty bearish, and it's difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some strong levels here that we've got to get down, and we're talking getting down to somewhere over here. So, that is a massive move from where we are, so roughly, 75%. That is such a big move. It's bordering, and I appreciate, this is a different, this is on a 4 hour, not on a 2 weekly, if I do that, but, at the same point, this is end of the bull run kind of dip, and I'm not sure that we're going to quite go that far. However, it does feel likely that this is not the bottom. I've always said, if I go to this chart here, I'll be bullish when we break above this important trend line. We spectacularly didn't break above that trend line. We've had drops, and this was obviously, a pretty large drop, and we're now ranging here, and we're ranging, right? We're oscillating between these spaces. The question on everyone's mind is what's going to happen next? What is going to happen next? If I open up VMC Morpheus, this is on a 4 hour, red dots. No red dot yet, but look at that VWAP coming straight down, absolutely, that looks likely to cross. Money flow is just seeping out there, does not look like in the short term it's coming back in, at least not on these higher time frames. Look, that's getting pretty thick. VWAP coming right back down, same, and I'd imagine in the next candle closes for all of these, they're likely, this one hasn't even breached the zero, so I wouldn't be surprised if that curves back around again. If I go to daily, yes, that's pointing up, but we've got a lot of the day left to go. Will we get up? Maybe, maybe not. If I go to the 3 day, pretty down, this isn't really giving us any indication. It's certainly not making us think we're going up anytime soon, and then we go on to the weekly, which, not long ago had a red dot. I think that was 2 weeks ago. That confirmed. The 2 week, which we've already talked about, that has confirmed. And the monthly has also got a red dot, which has not yet confirmed. But, there's nothing, and a lot can happen between now and the end of December, let's be honest. So that can completely invalidate. This can suddenly go straight up, right? I appreciate there are a lot of predictions. Plan B, who I'm a big fan of, is Floor Model predicts 135k in December. His stock to flow model predicts 100k plus in December. He's been pretty accurate. You know, I think it was August, September, October. His floor model was practically to the dollar accurate. November was a big miss. You know, his prediction was 98k. We didn't come within, you know, 30k of, you know, barely within 30k of that, right? And we are significantly, you know, further away now than at any other point, you know, in the last couple of months. So it's very difficult. And with these bearish signs, it is very difficult to see that we are going up anytime soon and that we're going to reclaim, you know, these levels, you know. Now, is it beyond possibility? At some point we will have bullish divergences on lower time frames, and we might pump up. We're now beneath this other trend line. So this one was the trend line I wanted to bounce off, right? And this one stretches down to, you know, there's I think it was a September low, and I think it went down to sorry, this isn't a great time frame to be doing this on, a low in July. So actually, if I go to daily and zoom in, this will be a lot clearer. Okay, you can see this trend line here. You know, this trend line, we're now beneath it. This trend line will now act as resistance, right? So having hoped that we would bounce off it, you know, and we've bounced here, we got this candle, you know, bounce, but such was the downward pressure, we just completely capitulated. So none of this is looking particularly good that we're going to move above this anytime soon. What I will say is this trend line will stay important. You know, if I'm just going to stretch that out there a little bit more, it will remain important. But you can see the price, you know, so the ease with which we get above it will probably be easier as time goes on. So I don't know at what point we will attempt it again. You know, one of our first rejections was around the 60k mark. We're obviously now 47.5k. You know, even if we try and make it up in the next couple of weeks, you know, we're still talking around 54k. So it's clearly less. And you can see there's a liquidity zone here where there's a lot of buy and sell orders, right? So you know, and we can see the meeting of these two trend lines here. Could that be significant? You know, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell you, but you can see that there are patterns that might form. We can see how they might. You know, one thing I do want to show. See if I can find it on my very many tabs. This is not the one that I wanted. Just bear with me. Aha. Let's get rid of these. So let's just focus here. Okay. Let's just ignore the parabolic. But, you know, we're on a 2 weekly here. And look at, there's a double bottom. Okay. Not a perfect, you know, but a symmetrical triangle. But you know, here we go. There was a double bottom. Okay. And we, after breaking above that, you know, there was a retest. And then we went parabolic. Now, that took, frankly, you know, quite some time. Are we going to print anything here? You know, can we is there another pattern that can form? Possibly. I'm just not sure if it will form straight away. Could it? Absolutely. I mean, look at the size of this candle, you know, in a 1-2 week period. You know, that was a big, that was a 40% drop in 2 weeks. 40%. Now, you know, we've had a drop here, we've had a drop here, you know, from where we are. You know, can we come down again? Yeah, that puts us around 35k, 34.5, right? So you can see that, you know, perhaps there might be patterns forming. Maybe. Am I being optimistic? Perhaps, you know. But I think some of the things here are looking very bearish, and we've got here an RSI indicator. You can see the direction of that pointing down. You can see that divergence and that top here showing, you know, we are, you know, we're what I will say is we're above. I think this is a 12 week SMA. This might act as resistance and support, so we might test that and bounce off it. The zero line or the median line, you know, can also act as support and resistance, so you can see that bounce there. You know, so there are things that can play out, but you can see that the trajectory, that it looks very downward. You know, absolutely. You know, and the RSI is reasonably low. You know, if I go to May of 2020, so, you know, this move here, you know, that which was as a result really of COVID and the pandemic spreading across the world and the global nature of markets. You know, you can see it on to a degree, you know, you can see it on. And this obviously dropped into, you know, a really low RSI, you know, space here. You know, we're despite our big drop, we are not there yet. You know, we are absolutely not there yet. So this is still reasonably high. You know, what might it look like in a couple of weeks' time? Yeah, it could be lower. You know, down here, perhaps. I'm not convinced. You know, we're getting all the way down here anytime soon. So, you know, it looks downward. You know, everything is pointing towards a downward move. And what I would just turn around and say to people, you know, and ignore the predictions, because they are just that. They are looking at some of the historical data and trying to extrapolate, right? And, you know, there's no way of knowing whether it will be right or wrong for some time. What I would turn and say to people is trade unbelievably carefully, right? You know, if you lose your whole portfolio, it's you know, or a significant portion, it's going to be very, very hard for you to make it back. Very, very hard. You know, super difficult. And therefore trade carefully. It is better to not trade than to force a trade. It is better to live to fight another day than gamble. You know, and a lot of traders only know how to long. You know, I see Discord groups where all they do is long all day long, and as soon as the market dumps, all you see is liquidations and stop losses hit on all of their calls, and then they just start longing again. And you know, some of these Discord groups just have anyone, you know, posting calls, shout outs, you know, and you have no idea of the accuracy, you have no idea of the analysis that goes into it. They're just throwing out these positions like it's confetti. And you know, people are following them, you know, thinking and believing that there is maybe some accuracy or maybe there is some you know, or hope, without really understanding the market that we're living in, right? If you're here and you're trying to long, yeah, you know, it's a pretty safe bet. If you in May trying to long, you were likely to get pretty wrecked. Over here, we could be in the same pattern, right? So you have to know the market you're in. You have to know what's going on around you, your surroundings, right? This might still be a bull run, but for now, we are not particularly bullish, and therefore you have to trade carefully. It's better to sit it out, and it's important to know when to trade, right? Not just what to trade, you know, trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, maybe Gala or Sand or Mana, you know, all of these fantastic coins. That's brilliant. But sometimes, you know, there is a degree of self-preservation, you know, that needs to take hold. And some people just think, you know, markets are just going to do this and they're going to keep on rising, and suddenly it's going to be this piece of FUD news that is going to mean that you know, we drop. You know, markets get exhausted, you know, they oscillate, you know, this is normal, you know. We're obviously in a cooling off phase. We're probably going to test some support levels, you know, but trade carefully, because it is very, very easy for all of, you know, for a trade to go sideways. Just to finish off really on the video on what am I trading at the moment. So here we've got Cryptograph. Gotta be honest, you know, despite that green square there, you know, I'm pretty bearish in the short term, and I'm short. I'm not short on Bitcoin actually. I'm actually short on Ethereum. Ethereum is looking pretty nasty, I'll be honest. I wish I'd entered over here, but I entered somewhere over here, and it's dropped. That was my first take profit. I'm going to sit in the trade. It's a super small position. Why am I sitting in it? I can't see a lot of bullish signs. What might happen? We might range, right? That legitimately may happen. You know, that said, if I go to the 3 hour, you know, this is looking pretty bearish. 2 hour, I think we've had this blood diamond on here. You know, that's reasonably strong. We're touching here. We might just, this might be the bottom for the moment, but I don't know. I've taken a bit of profit, and I'm sitting in this. I think it topped out. I think when I recorded it was around 170%, which is not bad for a morning. My trade was 0.25% of my portfolio, so you know, not a lot, but I've more than doubled my money. So you know, it's stop loss, move to entry, all of that stuff, good risk management, and I'm sitting in it now, and I'm waiting to see what happens next. And I can afford to wait and play the waiting game. I will take a look around at alts and see if there's any alts that are likely to do a little bit better, you know, than an outperform and go the opposite way, perhaps. But I think the big moves really more likely to be downward. And there's probably some nice trend lines we can start drawing now to start seeing, you know, how things look and what kind of downward trend are we in. Is it a channel, and all of these types of things. So there's a little bit of analysis still to be done here. You know, there probably will be some good liquidity as we go down. So you know, it might not be an easy journey if we do go down, and I think there'll be a lot of people who will have set, you know, good limit orders, you know, waiting on the off chance. I must admit, I don't think many people thought we would visit sub, you know, 4K on Ethereum, and sub 50K for Bitcoin. I probably was one of them. I thought that beginning of November, I thought, you know, we're not likely to get to these prices again, and we were going to have 2 very bullish months after October, which was a bit tricky. But we're back here again, and I think for the short term, I think we're going to stay. Right, thank you very much for joining me. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you like the content, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really grateful for the support. My Discord link is in the description below if you want to join and you know, get in the conversation. Thanks very much, everyone.